Welcome to another Daily Live for Five, one of our last ones. This is episode 30. We've been going live for 130 straight days. And thank you for joining me at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. Why 6 o'clock? Because I have been spending the day at the doors. It has been an incredibly encouraging day. It's always encouraging knocking on doors anywhere in the riding. It's been such an amazing experience. The kind of hate that I get online, recently being called a clown, that doesn't happen when you talk and meet with a person face to face. So this is your public service announcement. The more you know, the kind of vitriol you see online from some individuals, that never happens in person. And I've been super grateful for that. I have been on Campobello today, which is always so. Door knocking is encouraging enough, but being on Campobello, I absolutely love the place. There is a level of discouragement there that is hard to see, and I got into a very playful argument today with a gentleman who, I knocked on his door and handed him the thing, and I said, "My name's Mark." And he said, "Oh, you're green." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I can tell you I'm not voting green." And I said, "Okay, can you just tell me why?" Um, and he said, "Because you're not going to get anything done." And I said, "Well, I'm going to get the ferry." And then he said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am." And that's the way it went. And everybody whose doors I knock on, and I popped into Nikki's Convenience and talked to this person working there, and just everyone says it's inconceivable, it's unfathomable that there's no ferry. And today, friends, was an absolutely gorgeous day. 20 degrees. It was warmer today than it was when I was canvassing in August with my daughter. And the leaves are changing. And we went to Herring Cove, Vic and I, to just take a look. And that island, frankly, should be hopping right now, the way St. Andrews is with Indulge Fest right now. The tourist season is not over, but it is for Campobello largely because the private ferry ended at the end of September. And maybe they have their reasons, but this is yet another reason why there needs to be that direct connection to the mainland, a provincially run ferry. Because if that ferry were running, we could start to dream about what to do on beautiful fall weekends like this, or even in the winter. There's an incredible trail system at the Roosevelt Park. I would love to see glamping sites. I would love to see sleigh rides or Nordic spa type places. Campobello can begin dreaming. I know they want to build a new building where their town center, their government, their council could meet, and where a clinic could be run out of, and things like that. There's dreams happening. There's amazing things happening. But in terms of the tourism, my goodness, this weekend was an absolute gem on one of the most beautiful places in our province. And that's one reason why we need a ferry. I did not come on here to rant about that. One thing that I just want to leave you with today is this thought. Uh, and that's why I entitled today's video, "What Does Enough Look Like?" The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, as I've told you, my kids have said to me, "Oh my gosh, Daddy, you're talking all about our problems. Do we even live in a good place?" And of course, I say, we live in one of the best places. We can't get fixated on all the problems we have. However, we need to know that they're there and address them because people are not being served. But I wanted to talk to you about something that has helped me in business. And it is this idea of what does enough look like? And I don't mean enough is enough. I don't mean that's enough of that crap. There has been a lot of that feeling at the doors. And again, it's one of the main reasons why I'm running. We need an MLA who's actually present, working, advocating at the meetings, knows what's going on in the municipality. That's not happening, and that's why I am running. But what I mean by what does enough look like is, in my business, it was a huge insight for me when I once heard, a business guru say, you have to decide what enough money looks like for you, or what enough success looks like for you. And I'm bringing that up because that is quite a mind shift when we have been talking for 130 days about the things we need and people not feeling safe and people not having enough. And that's all true. But I'd like to get to a place where we can say, okay, what does enough, when we have solved these problems and even surpassed the solving of the problem a little bit, what does that look like? And what that does is, to me, it immediately shifts your mind from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And saying, for example, for all the five things, we could say, what does it look like when rents are not skyrocketing, when we have a rental cap? But then, of course, enough would look like there's vacancy, perhaps above average vacancy, not 0.2% vacancy in our towns where everybody's rushing to the same spot and they're staying in squalid positions and living situations. And then, of course, the rent cap is the only thing keeping things down. What would it look like if we had a 2.5% rent cap and there was enough supply for there to be some empty units, some vacancies like we need? You look at the national average, 3-4%. That would be a good thing. What would it mean for property taxes instead of just having that 10% cap spike protection? What would it mean if we had a new way to assess our taxes and people did not feel like they were taken advantage of? People felt like it was fair. Okay, and we can move on from there. What would it look like when we have enough detox spaces? Because right now, I spent an hour and a half with Jim Stewart yesterday at Neighborhood Works, just hearing the stories of people that they have had to help and go out of their way and personally, move from place to place because they were waiting for 7-8 days to get into detox uh, because there were no spaces. What would it be? What would it look like for every single person who struggles with addiction to be able to say, I'm ready now for treatment, be able to quickly go into the treatment that they need, and that there would be continually open spots, right? This is where you say, okay, this is what enough would look like. So for my business, the whole purpose of this exercise is you need to meet the needs of your business. You need to decide how much revenue you need. But then, of course, as an entrepreneur, you can work day and night. You can spend every waking hour working, trying to make more money. And you've got to decide, what does enough look like? When will I be satisfied? When will I be happy? That's not to say you need to keep reaching and having goals and stretching yourself and achieving more for your business. That's always there. But you can literally drive yourself crazy as an entrepreneur, working endlessly because you've never said to yourself, well, wait a second, what does enough look like? So I decided a couple years ago that 10,000 US dollars, but a lot of my business is done globally. And so a lot of my pricing online is in US dollars because the world doesn't know what a Canadian dollar is. I officiate locally, but with my combined activities, $10,000 of revenue per month, I just decided that would be enough. I could make more, I could reach for more, but if I don't think about it, sit down and say, what will that look like? Then I'll always be unsatisfied. And one of the green values that I really love is we live within our means, and that's great personally, but that's great as a province and as a community. We need to say we're living within our means. And so, for all of the five things, what does it look like when we have enough access to primary care? We don't want to just be hitting our minimum needs and always be scraping. What does it look like when schools have enough EAs, BIMs, support staff, when we have enough teachers in the system? Let's really aim for that, not just to cover off the needs and always be digging. What would it look like for there to be enough food so that no one goes hungry, enough school food programs? What would it look like to have groceries be sufficiently low and affordable in our communities? Does that mean another grocery store? Does that mean that those farms and food markets, that we've created a way to make sure that that happens? What does it look like to have enough policing and maybe a mobile crisis unit that supports officers? But what does it look like when we say, okay, finally, not only have we covered off the minimum, but we are satisfied, we feel good about the level of patrol, the level of access to justice? What does it look like to have enough access to justice right here in our community? That's the kind of mindset that I want to be thinking of. Otherwise, we will always be upset, feeling like we don't have enough, feeling like things are inadequate. And that's why we need to stretch ourselves, but also realize that when we get there, we can say, you know what, this is pretty good. This is an example of, how I've heard people say the Nurses Without Walls program, extramural nurses, is a program that really works. That's an example where we got to say, okay, that's working well. We really did good there. That's important as we look out over the next, make plans for 2, 4, 6, 10 years down the road as a community. What does enough look like? Let's start envisioning that together. It's not pie in the sky, it's goal setting. I had to say, you know what? If I get $10,000 of revenue in my business every month, I'm good. I can cover the expenses of the business. I can invest in research and investment projects. I can, develop brand new things and go slightly into debt with a payment. We've talked about that. That's how a good business is run. And I can pay my mortgage and feed my family and do things like that. I decided what enough looks like. Let's do that together as a community as we think about where to put our vote on voting day, but also what we want to be for the next few years. Tomorrow, I am excited to bring you a plan, the plan that I have to for my first week, my first 10 days as MLA. Because as you know, I've been running on these things as well as the Campobello Ferry and other items, and I want to talk to you about as MLA direct elect what I will do exactly. What will my first few steps be for each of these goals that I have told you I'm going to work on and problems we will solve together? So I look forward to that. Tomorrow will be the day before Election Day. I am going to be at the Free Paul Watson event in St. Andrews at 3 o'clock on the wharf. And then I will do some canvassing in St. Andrews tomorrow. But thank you, Campobello, for a great day. Thanks to you for joining. And we continue to march on to Monday, feeling incredibly optimistic that I will get to serve you. And I'm very excited to do that.